Welcome one, welcome all to the top five
Hello.
chapters that we reviewed, and not even just reviewed, because I was gonna do that, and I was like, "Fuck that shit," because then I can't talk about Hunter x Hunter. Uh, so top five chapters for all of us in 2018. I'd like to welcome special guest, one of our longtime fans, and the creator of this idea of a video. He would like to be called King in this scenario, so King, welcome.
Hello, my king.
Hello.
He's from Russia. I love it.
Of Russia.
Hell yeah. Okay, so who wants to start here? Since I got my list down, if you want me to start, I can. Or unless you guys...
Yes, go while I think of mine.
Oh, of course! I knew it!
Actually, I have, before we actually start the entire official count, I would like to just get a few seconds to shout out a single manga that has been going on, for the past few months, I think, like 2 months.
Okay.
Barely the end of... It's from the creator, the Danganronpa guy, Gambler's Parade. It has only 10 chapters, but if you guys really want to read something fun and quirky, that should do it.
Gambler's Parade, is that what you said?
Yep.
Interesting. Have you heard of that, Thurman?
No, not to my knowledge.
All right, well, I will look into it. I like the title of it. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my favorite Dr. Stone chapter for this year, and that was chapter 75, also known as Tank Senku. You remember that one, right, Thurman? The little chibi tank Senku yeah. And I'll tell you right now why that's my favorite Dr. Stone chapter this year, because I think that's the official chapter that locked down that Senku is one of my favorite characters of all time, because he can do both. You know, he can be that badass scientist dude, and he can also be just cute, adorable chibi boy in a fun little tank. And he just has the best of both worlds, and that chapter was one of the funnest reviews that I did with you that whole year, so I loved that fucking chapter so much. Do you want me to do all of mine at once, or do you want to, go around?
Let's just go around.
All right. How about you?
I'm actually gonna mention something, is that I never read Dr. Stone.
How dare you?
I plan to binge read it, the entire catalog
It's
of it.
very
But,
good. It's slow start. First 10 chapters are a little rocky, but then it fucking skyrockets in quality. In my opinion.
aren't all mangas first chapters are kind of like...
I would say, except for I think Fullmetal Alchemist had a really good, strong start. I think Promised Neverland had a really good start, and then it spiraled into not being as good. There are some that start off really well.
I feel like the most long-time shonens tend to have a very low and low-key starts as ones.
That's true. All right, so what do you got?
So, King, would you like to go, or would you like me to?
I will give you the honors. I will get my...
As you guys know, on Cultural Chaos, I like to cheat when it comes to the list. So I'm for my number 5, I'm going to do 3 chapters packed into one because it's technically an arc. So my number 5, my favorite chapters of this year is from Jujutsu Kaisen, chapters 21 to 26.
Okay, what happened in these chapters?
So the reason why I like these chapters so much is because these are the chapters that kind of set Jujutsu Kaisen apart from the current Jump manga. This is like the manga we're going to be reviewing with me and David, by the way. Get ready for that. It's what stuck out to me the most is the relationship between like the main character, the villain, and the supporting character that, spoiler, dies during this part, right?
Fuck. So
you can feel the emotions. It's very this series is like the new Bleach essentially. The new Bleach essentially is what people comparing it to Bleach a lot.
People are thinking it's going to be a part of the big 3, is what I'm hearing. Yeah. Maybe a big contender.
It's so good. So I liked it so much because these truly set. It really is its own manga. You know, every manga has a point in an arc or a chapter where it sets itself apart from everything. Black Clover has this. My Hero Academia has this. A lot of these manga have these chapters where it makes them feel like this is their thing. And these few chapters literally made it, because the main summary is that one of the main villains takes a kid who is like bullied and like shunned. He basically takes interest in him, and then he starts to talk. He can see curses, like curses are like these like evil things that like where shamans and exorcists can see them. So he takes the little kid under his wing, right? And then the main character meets him by accident, and then they have this conversation, and then he essentially starts to try to save his heart or whatever. But then it turns out that the curse actually kills his mom. It's just like it surprisingly kills his mom, right? And then he just goes through this depression, right? So he accepts this power, and he goes on a fucking he goes crazy. He's like, okay, why would I care for this world anymore? Like, my mom is killed, you know. So I'm just gonna, you know. And then the main character tries to save his heart, and then the main villain just shows up, just kills him.
So basically, just so you're not spending the whole video just doing the plot of this manga, the main chapters that you chose are, and your reasoning is because those are kind of the ones that really started making people pay attention to the series, I assume, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, you got something, King?
Oh yeah, I have actually about Bleach. I have a pure nostalgia pick. For me, I would say Burn the Witch.
Oh,
because
fuck yeah.
Burn the Witch is something for me that made me giddy. It's not like it has a brilliant story or like a super action packed. It's a very quirky thing. But for me, it was something to indicate that our boy Kubo is not out of the game yet. He's not out of the game yet.
No, like, I feel you totally on that, because that felt like, it just felt Kubo, you know what I mean? Like, it reminded me of the first, like, arc of Bleach, the Substitute Soul Reaper arc, where he's just, they're just going to school, or it's slice of life mixed with that supernatural element, and it just shows that Kubo still has that in him, if he could just, like, reboot and start again. Like, I totally agree with you, that was a very fun one, and I did a video on that with David, and that was a very fun one to discuss as well, for sure.
For me, it was only because also I know a few comic artists, and I can tell when the artist or mangaka is honestly having fun doing something. I can see he's having fun with this. So this is honestly one of my favorite things that happens in the entire year, I would say.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. That's actually something too. Do you watch RWBY at all, King?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, okay, cool. I sometimes, if you've commented on our RWBY stuff, forgive me. I can't keep track of all of them. I just respond to them all. But like with the RWBY stuff, that's a point we make a lot in our RWBY videos, is that like you can tell when there's passion, and you can tell when it's like, I'm doing this for paycheck, I just have to get it done. Definitely. And towards the end of Bleach, Kubo it was very obvious that it was just a slog. He was trying to get through it, which was always a shame. So I hope that people can find, like, authors, I like to think that they can find that balance between, like, obviously I have to do this by a deadline, but also I still have fun with it, right? That's almost a vibe I've gotten in recent My Hero chapters. I feel as though he's almost slogging through this current arc, whereas I feel like he had a lot of fun in the Gentle Criminal arc, because that one was really unique in his style. And I guess I'll take that as a natural segue to my next favorite chapter. Let me find what the actual number is here. Chapter 178 of My Hero Academia. We did not review it yet at this point, but as everyone who watches our reviews knows, I love Gentle Criminal. People sleep on this motherfucker, and I love him. In that chapter, that was the flashback that really kind of got you to know him. That was the flashback where you saw kind of the path that La Brava went down, and how she kind of started like having this horrible depression, and there was even hints of like suicide and shit in that story, and how she found Gentle Criminal on YouTube, and just watching his videos got her out of that stupor and out of that depression, and she kind of became the obsessive fan, found where he lived, and went to his house. And what I found so beautiful about this is where most people in that scenario would be like, ew, gross, stalker, get away from me. Gentle, since he had such a little fan base, and he generally wanted to be loved and adored, he immediately, he loved it. He didn't find it weird for a second that someone came to his door and like, I watch you, I love you. he was like, "Fuck yeah, let's like join me, be my crewmate." Like crew, that sounded like very One Piece. Be my cameraman. That's just so cool, and it really showed how pure of heart he was, because where he was technically a criminal, stealing and shit, you could tell how pure of heart he really was. And
if I may add something about Gentle, that generally broke the mold of the entire structure of the. Villains are not necessarily evil. Heroes are not necessarily good, and that's brilliant. I think if this is used in a very interesting way, and Horikoshi might as well use it, and he already did a few times.
Definitely. And a lot of what we saw too in his flashback was that he wanted to be a hero, but he flunked out of all these classes, and by rejecting him, they created a villain. Not an actual threatening villain, because he's gentle and he's like one of the most pure-hearted people ever. But like still, by rejecting him and his dreams and hopes,
really
good,
reinforces the knowledge that villains are not bad people, but rather just social outcasts.
Yeah, people that society kind of shunned away. Yeah, exactly. And that was just beautiful. Every aspect. That entire arc, the Gentle Criminal arc, I was like on the edge of my seat every week. I was so excited to read it every week, and culminating in and it was between this chapter and the chapter where him and Labrava are hugging as they're about to get like taken away to prison and separated. That was I cried. I legitimately cried at that moment, because it's like they had a connection that was like beyond even just like a normal like, oh, shipping them. Like it wasn't even that. It was just like I felt their connection. They felt like two people that were lost in this world, and through being together they brought each other happiness. And that was like one of the most I fucking, that was an emotional roller coaster, that entire thing. So I hope to see Gentle back soon, because I fucking loved him. Ugh.
All right. Enough of the gentle talk. It's time for the true dope talk right now. My number 4 is chapter 699, the latest chapter of Gintama. Oh my
god. Was that this year or last year? When did it come out?
This year.
Oh, just barely. All right.
This counts. Bro, after reading this chapter, this made me, I was already in love with it, but it's like renewing your vows, right? This is what Gintama is all about. This is literally what we asked for. Like, bro, my favorite part of this chapter was literally him, Sarasi, just calling out like literally every new generation of Jump, right? He literally makes fun of their sales, bro. He literally says because he's in Jump Giga, he doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Doesn't have to compete, right?
Bro.
Yeah, so for people who don't know much about Gintama, think of it as like the Deadpool of manga. Like he just breaks the fourth wall and shit. Since they recently moved to like a different magazine, Jump Giga, like I don't know exactly how that works, but it's like some side magazine. And I saw this little screen cap that Thurman posted. It's literally like makes fun of the fact that like, all right, we finally moved away from the main magazine. Now we'll have less competition. Here we go. So, it's pretty funny.
Honestly, Gintama Gintama is one of the prime examples of how you can able to mix humor, satire, and a serious plot. Because despite all of that satirical stuff, despite all of the nonsense that happens, you are still engaged in the story as a reader, because you actually love the characters that are presented. You actually love everything, and it's not like extreme like Pop Team Epic, where it's really all about memes. It's about characters. And after that, it's memes, which is why.
Yes, character-driven first, meme-driven second. Perfect.
Yes, and that's why I very much respect this mangaka and his work.
Agreed.
Because the one thing Red said about every series is true. What drives a series is its characters.
Yep. The quote he's thinking of is, if your characters are interesting, your readers will follow them through anything, right? So, like, plot can almost take a second, like a back seat if you have good enough characters. I wouldn't recommend that, because plot is important too, but, like, truly, if you have good enough characters, people will watch them through anything. That's why Slice of Life exists. Like, you can just watch people doing normal day shit if the characters are interesting enough.
So Gintama is a prime example of that, and this chapter is basically just a humongous welcome back to the series, and I love it.
Damn right, I love it. All right, what about you, King?
All right, so this one will be a bit of a controversial pick because I think it was already started to fall out by this point. But I would say Promised Neverland 87.
Now, remind me what was happening in this one.
This was a very simple chapter. It was right before this black-headed, I don't remember his name by
Lewis?
this point, but Lewis, right? Lewis and Emma was talking. It was something, for me, out of context, it was something very exciting because Lewis and Emma were presenting two completely different worldviews. He, as someone who does not relent, he wishes excitement. He would not mind dying here if it brings me excitement. Emma, on the other hand, she wants to find a way to finish this peacefully, but if she needs to, she must do it. So it's completely two flipped perspectives and two different races colliding in a very and then it ended up with a very useless attack. Showing off Lewis's power.
Was that the one where they did the thing where they a bunch of guns were mounted and they all shot at him?
Yes, right at the end of the chapter that was exactly happened. Because
okay, so
it
that
was
was the chapter
exciting
where
for
they
me.
kind of had their talk, right? I agree with you. Some of my favorite moments of any manga is two characters having a philosophical debate. I've always loved that shit.
The fact that she even caught herself on violent thoughts and decided, no, I don't want to be like them, Emma. It was her own progression, sort of mini progression inside this arc, where she managed to actually consider the implications of her own brutality she wanted to really commit. So do I become like them, or do I actually try to propose the peaceful solution to it?
Very good point. Very good point. All right, so for me, my next one, and three of my favorite chapters of the year are One Piece chapters, so I might just blitz through them since they're all One Piece chapters. The first one is 895. That came out in February of this year, or last year technically, and this was when Luffy revealed Snake Man. Well, it was the chapter after the reveal when he fought in Snake Man. This chapter,
nice.
This chapter, just all of it was a step of quality above even what Oda normally does. All of the art was polished to an insane degree. The choreography was polished to an insane degree. This was one of those things where the entire chapter was a fight, and the fight was some edge of your seat shit. I remember reading this at 3 a.m. This is when I still lived with my parents before I had moved to my own apartment, and I was, below them, and I literally had to cover my own mouth like I was being fucked or something, and not scream because it was that epic. This is what a One Piece fight should be, and it was the culmination of everything that he had built up for the past 20 or so chapters with this fight, because Katakuri and Luffy had slowly kind of gained to understand each other, respect each other, and this was the final I stand for this, but we kind of are seeing an eye to eye, but we have to finish this fight somehow. And it's just crazy. And I love what Snake Man is. The simple idea of I can punch you, but I can change the direction mid-punch to continuously fuck up how you're gonna dodge it, which is the perfect counter to Katakuri's fucking observation hockey there. It was just such a cool. And some of the panels, one of my favorite panels of all time is this wide shot where he goes to punch Katakuri and you just see his arm go pew 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 pew, change directions till it hits him again. And it was just, to this day, one of my favorite chapters and one of the best fights in One Piece.
If I might bring some insight into it, I think what's loved about Katakuri v Luffy fight is that it's unpredictability. Almost every single One Piece fan was always arguing over the course of this fight who will win, Luffy or Katakuri, Luffy or Katakuri, Luffy or Katakuri. It never happened before because we always knew that Luffy is the main hero, he would win. But this time it's Oda challenged our view on the character while also bringing one of the best villains so far.
Very good point. And I like what you're saying there, because I remember too, I wanted Katakuri to win because to me it seemed too easy if Luffy was to already beat a second in command of a Yonko. But the way it was done, semi-controversial, was still very entertaining. And Oda kind of did it in a way that saved him because he made it so Katakuri gained respect for Luffy. And to me, it's quite obvious that Katakuri went insanely easy on Luffy, which kind of like removes any potential plot holes from like power scaling wise, you know. So I thought it was
I still think Katakuri is stronger than that.
Absolutely. Because think about all the things, right? Not only did he stab himself, but he also threw away his spear. He chose to, you know, mano-a-mano, blow for blow. There's a lot of things that he did. And even, I'm pretty sure the conversation between him and Brûlé, where Brûlé was like, you fell on purpose, didn't you? So, I'm sure since I am kind of running out of time, I'm going to go through the rest of my One Piece ones real quick. So after that, I have the chapter where Im-sama is revealed, which is just, because it's just a game changer for the entirety of the One Piece story. All of the reverie was...
907.
908 is what or was it 7? Maybe. Yeah, it was one
7.
of them.
Empty throne.
Thank you. You're right. Yeah, so, wow, that's impressive that you know that. So yeah, that one, just because it's a game changer to the entire story, it changes everything you thought you knew about the hierarchy, and it was a huge moment and a great moment to be in the fandom. And then 921, when Kaido is revealed to be a dragon, and he just shows the fuck up. All of those moments were phenomenal for me, and those are my good One Piece moments for this year. And I have one more after that, but I'll let you guys do your round one more time, and then I'll do mine.
All right.
So my number 3 is going to be a Black Clover chapter, 187, offensive defense. The reason why I like this chapter so much is because the amount of choreography and the amount of Black Clover just heightened, right? This is what makes me love Black Clover so much, is that the choreography in the fight is just really well done. You know, it reminds me of when a lot of people say say that Black Clover's process reminds them of Hunter x Hunter. This chapter makes me believe that, right? Because it's a shonen Hunter x Hunter misc into it, because it's all teamwork, you know? And I think that one of Tabasa's greatest strong suits is his fights. And because everything made sense, everything fitting together in like one piece of the puzzle, you know, and nothing feels like it's, you know, was just thrown in there just because. Everything fit together. Each panel flowed together like a river stream, right? So that's really why it's my favorite, is because of the fact that teamwork is on point. The fight choreography is amazingly on point, and like both sides, like the enemies and the heroes, are doing strategy. So that's really, really good in my opinion. And so and then King, you want to go for number 3?
All right, my number 3 is probably something you might not have heard by this point. Fire Group Brigade of Flames, chapter 110.
Yeah. Yes.
You thought I would not get it into here, but I will. This chapter, honestly, it's not something you could really read out of context. But if you do read it within the context of the shonen genre, I think this mangaka breaks the mold significantly, because you know the usual trope of damsel in distress with super epic powers that need to be recovered and saved from the villains, right? You know that stuff. And this stuff happens a lot. It's often used as a plot point. What happened here is that this said damsel happens to be an adrenaline junkie who doesn't care about her own safety or anyone's safety at all. And Inka, that's her name, Inka. She decides to go. She constantly insults the main character for trying to save her. That's first. She constantly says that she wants more danger, and she decides to go with the villains at the end because it's more dangerous this way.
Oh yes, best chapter. Oh, the king is this king.
This completely changes everything for me. Like this point was exactly the moment I remembered that Soul Eater, the manga, had a lot of those moments, and since it's from the same mangaka, it's obviously will have the same kind of deal. But yes, and then the Shibutai Fire Brigade of Flames to 100 or 110.
Man, that is king. I got to clap for
Yeah,
you.
that's a manga I want to get into, and I probably will soon. And maybe some, I don't know who, but one of us will probably start reviewing it with the other one.
Yeah, me. I'm reading. You're not, if we're
You want it to be you and me, or David and you, though, is the question.
I would like to assist with that because
don't put me in that spot, Red. Don't
Choose your friend. Choose your friend.
Anyway,
which one came and visited you when you came up here, Thurman? All right, I'm going to do my number one real quick because I skipped through, that was 3 through whatever the fuck with One Piece, and I have to go to work in like 5 minutes, so I'll say mine, and then while I'm getting ready for work, you guys can finish up yours, and it should work out perfect. I should not have procrastinated this much, but that's my life. So number one is Hunter x Hunter chapter, hold up, I believe it was 363. Let me make sure on that. God damn it, I had it and it went away. It's the one where the sisters try to. Do you read Hunter x Hunter, King?
I do loosely.
Okay, let me make sure I have the right one here. I believe it's 363 because it's the ones where the sisters try to escape here. Hunter x Hunter 363. Well, if not, I'll fucking edit in. I'm almost positive it's that one. Sorry. But anyway, this is the one where and Thurman, you'll know the one I'm talking about here. It's where the sisters Melody hypnotizes the whole ship, and they're trying to escape from this succession war in the escape pods. And there's so much sacrifice and so much death and so much just emotion in this entire scene, right? So first you have already, you've at least seen the anime, the Madhouse anime, King of.
Yep.
Okay.
I saw the entire one.
Remember the really good scene where the music gets all somber and Carollo is like conducting from that building as like the Phantom Troop is just slaughtering the city?
Of course.
Imagine that, right? That's essentially what happened again in the manga here with like a different scenario, because I could tell immediately when I was reading this chapter that if it was animated, that's how they'd do it. Because you have Melody playing her flute and she's hypnotizing the entirety of the boat and everyone's just standing there all like paralyzed, right? And these two sisters that have been plotting to escape this death game. Think like the Hunger Games, but like whoever wins is like the prince.
I'm aware what's happening.
Oh, okay. You said loosely, so I didn't know. Yeah. But anyway, they're trying to escape, and it's just this like scene where like they're running past all these paralyzed like guards and shit, and they have this other guy that was working with them, this old bodyguard, and he's like ushering them past, like go, get in the escape pod, right? He shoves them in the escape pod. He's like. He kind of thinks to himself, like, oh, I hope they make it safely. I hope they make it safely. And then he realizes someone has to take the fall for this. If no one takes the fall for this, they'll figure out that something happened. So he takes out a gun, shoots himself in the fucking head right in front of the escape pod, and, like, says some shit like, oh, I'll be able to join my wife and daughter now. Like, it's like, oh, my God. It was something like he was looking for a place to die ever since they died. It was like, wow. So that happens. Then, when you think the emotion's over, you cut to the two sisters in this escape pod, and they're rushing out of the boat, and it's like okay, we made it. Turns out there's like this Nen curse that anytime you leave anyone that's part of that like sacrifice or the games, every time they leave the boat, we don't know everything about it, but these hands reach out and just fucking grab you, and we don't know how they kill you, but they kill you, right? So it's this great moment where one of the sisters sees it and she's like, open your portal, get back, oh my God, right? And they're jumping back to try to like, okay, we'll go back to the boat and we'll have to try again sometime. And you think like, oh, there's this moment where like, oh my God, did one of them die? And then the door opens again, it's like, oh no, they're fine. And then the narration reveals, it's like, actually they did die. Her Nen power was actually, anytime one of the sisters died, her Nen beast would take the form of the sister that died, because these sisters are like, so like they need each other that much to like live. They're like dependent on each other, that like whichever one died would kind of like take that form. The Nen beast would take the form of that sister. So it was this really big what the fuck. So one of these sisters is dead. The Nen beast took the form of that sister, and I'm immediately left thinking like, okay, what does that mean? What are the logistics of this? Does that mean that, does this Nen beast know that it's a Nen beast, or does it actually think that it's the sister? It's just so many things, but it was just a really emotional moment, and I actually teared up while reading it. And it's just Hunter x Hunter.
You have to wonder if actually one of them died before or not.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so many ways that Togashi could go with this for sure. It was a phenomenal year for Hunter x Hunter. So how about you guys finish up your last couple while I get ready for work here?
All right.
All right. So number 2 for me is it's a Fire Force chapter. It's chapter 98, Shinra versus Arthur. The reason why I like this chapter so much is because it's giving us our pseudo Naruto versus Sasuke moment a bit better, right? And then we see a little bit of insight into Shinra and the his Adora burst a bit. It's an overall great chapter because we see a little bit more into Shinra's character, see what he has to resist, see what he has to go through as being, as being one of the Adora links and Adora bursts. So I think it's actually really well made chapter, and it's just in everything, the choreography and the character development. It's definitely one of the.
Not to mention Shino Hashirame involvement.
Yeah, right.
It was very amusing to see someone like her pop up suddenly.
So it's definitely and the art there is just really, really unique. He has a very unique art style that's just like makes you feel uncomfortable, but it's just really, really good.
Oh yeah, what he wants to display off what he did in Solitaire, it always comes through in the most atmospheric and straightforward way possible without being very straightforward.
Right.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. So that's definitely my number 2.
All right, so my number 2 happens to be Boku no Hero Academia, chapter 119. 19. It was a culmination of several things. The first thing, it was a culmination of a character being developed, Endeavor. It was a culmination of his own change as a person, from the worst hero to the one of the most productive ones, but also someone who tries to change. I noticed several things inside this chapter is how he addresses this Nomu. This Nomu craves for power, craves for challenge, and he sees himself inside of this Nomu, and he wants to burn it away, both symbolically and.
Did he cut off completely?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Awkward. We can't hear you, King, if you're still there. Well, all right. Russia's over. It happened.
All right,
World War III.
So I guess I'll do my number 1.
Yeah, just do your
then,
number
right?
1 real quick, and I gotta head out to work soon.
All right, so my number 1 is.
Oh, you're back.
Okay, he's back.
I'm back. For some reason, I caught up for a moment. Okay, weird.
Go ahead and finish up what you were saying, and try.
Okay, so basically Endeavor development. Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Was that the one where he was fighting the Nomu?
It was the end of the fight, right?
Gotcha.
When he struck the pose.
There was the Icarus metaphor, wasn't there? Because he had like the wings that burned away and shit.
If I'm going to repeat what I said earlier, did you didn't hear that?
I'm sorry, I was walking around getting ready for work, but yeah, I was just trying to.
Yeah, he clearly indicated that he saw himself inside of this Nomu, and he burned not only the Nomu but his old self away.
Gotcha. All right, cool. And Thurman, your number 1.
Number 1, One Punch Man, chapter 81, Willpower. Red, you gonna remember this one?
Now, is this the Garu fight? Is this the Garu fight?
Garu fighting against about 8 heroes,
oh,
right?
That fight, I couldn't believe how good that fight was.
This fight is I'm going to keep it short and simple. This fight is one of the main reasons why I like Garu as a character. The perfect anti-hero character, right? This is a fight with himself and with heroes, right? So Garu, he's already weakened and all this other stuff, but he has the willpower, the drive to fight off all these heroes. And you have to give the heroes credit, right? The heroes have a amazing plan to deal with him, like almost unbeatable plan. But Garu still preserves and just breaks through. And one of my favorite parts of this is that the machine gun hero literally shoots machine guns at the cabin. Garu knows the kid is there, and he just literally just stops all the machine
yeah.
guns.
And you're right. And I'm just we got to wrap up real quick because I do got to head out to work like basically now. But I will say Garu is one of those interesting characters because like not only does he have an emotional journey like you said, but like the author and the writer and I know it's like a combination effort between like one and the dude who does the art, but like essentially what they do with Garu is like constantly make me think. The amount of times I've been like, oh, it's over, he's done. Oh, it's over, he's done. It's fucking done. He's down. Stay the fuck down. But he never does. Ever. It's like insanity. But like it never feels unbelievable either. He has like that perfect balance. So yeah, I agree. King, how about your number one? And then I gotta head out.
It's a very simple one. One Piece chapter 923. It's a very simple one. You don't need to say anything other than Kaido. Just Kaido.
Is that when he one shots him?
Yes, it's just one shot Kaido. What can you say about that? That has not been. It's a chapter that changed the game entirely about Wano arc.
And just like you told me, you were a King Lightning fan, right?
I remember his freak out.
Yeah,
I remember his freak out.
Well, because he had made that joke about Luffy getting baby shaked for so long, and it was good to finally see it happen.
I mean, he did basically get baby shake. Like, no other word. No other word.
Baby shake. Phenomenal. Well, thank you, Thurman, and thank you, King. Marvelous to have you on here. I loved doing this. You're definitely welcome on guest videos from any time in the future.
Will be my pleasure.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. And King, I will talk to you more later. You seem like a cool person. I just got to head to work like now, so I'll talk to you guys.
All right. Feel free to write me.
I shall. Yes, old school pen pal style.
Let us know your favorite manga chapter of the year in the comment section below.
Yes, what Thurman said. And with that, peace.